Hey guys, I'm Tim Howie, Senior Pastor of Grace Church, and I'm meeting socially distant away from my good friend and longtime labor in ministry, somebody I deeply respect and love, Tass Saada. Tass is the founder of Hope for Ishmael, and so we were talking recently about what a great thing it'd be to have a conversation online, share more about what's going on in the ministry, in Tass's life. So, Tass, first of all, thank you for taking the time in this moment, as we're both in stay-at-home orders. How are you doing, first of all?
Well, thank you, Pastor. We're doing very, very well, and trying to keep up and helping our people in the land, in the Holy Land, and our friends here in Kansas City area and around the states. So I try to keep busy.
That's one thing. My friend, you never have a problem. Our trouble is to slow you down.
It is hard to. It is hard to. I go nuts.
Oh, I understand. I don't like being stationary either. So why don't we, for people who don't know about Hope for Ishmael, would you just take a step back, and I will put out, it's hopeforishmael.org, hopeforishmael.org, if you want to have information about what we're talking about. But Tass, can you walk through, if for somebody who's never heard of Hope for Ishmael, what is Hope for Ishmael? What do you guys do?
Hope for Ishmael was founded 20 years ago, as a matter of fact, as I began to study the Bible after I gave my heart to Jesus 26 years ago. And as I was getting deeper into Genesis, and I got to Genesis 27, and God is announcing Isaac coming, and Abraham was troubled and cried out to God, "Oh, that Ishmael might live under your blessing." And that verse just captured me and captured my heart. And from that, I decided, Karen and I, my wife, and this is the name of our organization. So when we went to the Gaza Strip, when we first called to the Gaza Strip, that was the name, and Hope for Ishmael began to help and equip basically the people of the Gaza Strip. And God blessed us there until Hamas woke up.
You have incredible stories about those moments. And I, at least my video kind of winked out. I want to make sure people heard the amazing promise that God made. Many people know about the promise God made to Isaac, which certainly is true, but it was the promises, the blessings that God made to Ishmael, which are also equally true, that drew your heart there. And it's worthy of every Christian to go back and look at Genesis 27, that God has a heart for blessing the people of Ishmael, and which led to you blessing the people of Ishmael.
Yeah, on the verse 18, that's when Abraham cried out. And in the 20th verse, God made promises to Abraham, and those promises encouraged me so much that I began to believe, really, and this theme came to my mind. The hope for Ishmael is the hope for Israel. The hope of the Arab people is the hope for the Jewish people. And the hope for Israel is the hope of the world. And the hope of the world is Jesus. And so it all goes back to Jesus. And so that's the drive that been driving us to bring peace between Arabs and Jews.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And, of course, a long history with that. Can we fast forward just a little bit to what, Hope for Ishmael is a multifaceted ministry. There's like primary ministry here, what you do, but also there's global impact as well. And so people may not know, some of that. Walk into what is Hope for Ishmael doing right now? People could engage with right now, and there's sort of things happening, partnerships globally.
Hope for Ishmael started several initiatives. The Hope for Gaza, the Seeds of Hope, the Kingdom First, which is Arab-Jewish ministry working together to bring peace. And then Lead with Love. And this is our latest. When we came back to the States, the Lord called us back. As we traveled, Karen and I, throughout the United States and Europe, we realized there is, the influx of Muslims into Europe and the United States.
Absolutely.
And that really put some concern in my heart. And the concern and the question that came to my heart is the church ready for this influx of Muslims? And the answer was more scary even, not really. And so we realized that we needed to come back here to the United States and begin a work to develop a training manual, basically called Lead with Love, and how to lead your Muslim neighbors in love and respect, based on our personal experience back in the Gaza Strip, in Israel, in Jordan, in Baghdad, in Iraq. And all of these experiences were put into a one manual called Lead with Love, and to share with the church how we can help the church to reach your Muslim neighbors in love and respect, just as I was reached. I was reached with love and respect.
Yeah, you
and
were.
I want, and I believe that's really the key. We see a lot of fear within the believers, within the churches, fear about Islam, fear about Muslim. And so the program is to help taking away that fear, and to open the heart of the believers, and to start equipping the believers how to reach your Muslim neighbor, build relationship. It's all about relationships. Charlie, the man that led me to the Lord, build relationship with me, and you know, any salvation begins with a relationship.
Yeah.
And it ends with the ultimate relationship with Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and you're totally right. It's really insightful that there are many Christians here in the West, in the United States, that when Muslim neighbors move in down the street, next door, they pass into stores, the unfamiliarity and the fear raising, and all, like, what is appropriate, what is not appropriate. But the heart of lead with love, I love, which is that is the great commandment. Like, you're supposed to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, but you love your neighbor as yourself. And you can imagine,
as yourself.
If people actually found themselves far from God, they also would love someone to reach out to them, not fear them, be inquisitive, like safely inquisitive about their lifestyle, their background, and perspective, and pray like crazy for a door. So I love it. And so you even go through the class goes through, like, I believe it was through like education about what is Islam, how do people practice Islam, even conversations like how to even engage. Because even say, would you have one takeaway? If you had one, you have many takeaways in the material, by the way, but if you had one takeaway, one piece of advice for a Christian in the United States and in Kansas City area who says, what do I do, Tass, to build that relationship? What would you say?
Begin, if you really have a heart to reach, and I hope all believers do have that heart. Understand the culture of the person in your neighborhood. Know something about them so that you can begin dialoguing and building relationship through understanding some of the culture of the person, and understanding also honor and shame, and why sometimes Muslims react the way they react. Honor and shame plays a huge role in our life. And
could you unpack that and define, like, what does that look like? It's a powerful, if you're watching, guys, this is a powerful monumental moment Tass is bringing up. Can you share what would a reaction be from somebody who is like a Muslim neighbor that we in the West would interpret incorrectly? We would attribute to something else, but it's because of this honor shame culture. Like, what would something? Did you have any examples that pop to mind?
For example, when I gave my heart to Jesus, it is really, according to our clan back in Saudi Arabia and Qatar, this was supposed to be a whole group decision. It's not a personal decision. So we have to
salvation
understand
is a group decision. Salvation is a group decision, a family decision.
I mean, it is. I have to have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
permission from the
Wow.
client.
Yeah.
Also, your friend, your next door neighbor, uh, uh, if they come, for example, and trying to give you something, or you trying to they're trying to give you something. That's a very simple. They come trying to give you a gift, and you tell them, no, thank you, please don't. That is a huge shame, rejecting and refusing
Mm. Yeah,
that.
yeah.
The other thing is, if you are with them and they like something, the culture is you need to give them that something.
You and I experienced that, my friend. Oh my goodness.
That's why I brought that. That's
I
why
know.
I
I'm still
brought
so
that
embarrassed. I'm
example
still embarrassed about that.
purposely.
See, guys, let me tell you the backstory. The quick backstory is Tass and others have educated me about that. Never say, like ladies in houses, if you say, man, those are great earrings, in certain cultures, they might pluck the earrings off, so have them. And so I
Exactly.
knew this, and
Yeah.
I happened to make a side comment about this rock in Tass's office, and he gave it, he wrapped up and gave it to me. And I'm like, how did I get, okay, that's just great.
But
Anyway, yes.
this is something. The other thing is, if
Yeah.
a man is talking to a man and a lady,
Mm,
Muslims, the man should never really be looking at the lady in her eyes,
mm,
and
mm.
always direct the conversation to the man.
Gotcha.
Uh, Even if they have been living here for many years,
Yeah.
we try to make it more simple. The Lead with Love program is really more also discipling our own people.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've come to the conclusion that there are a lot of discipling that needs to be done along with understanding Islam and knowing more about
Yeah.
Islam, is
Yeah.
knowing our own faith stronger and deeper. So that is part of the program as well.
Yeah.
And
One
it is
practical,
so important.
mm, well, one practical, it's just amazing. And thank you, Tass, for sharing that. One practical example I had from my own neighborhood. I have a friend of mine who is Muslim. I put Ramadan down in my calendar, so I knew when it would start and when it was over. And I saw him outside, and
Mm.
I asked him. So I went behind us, and we were talking, socially distant away. I was mowing lawn, and I asked him. I said, "Hey, I saw that. I know Ramadan started on Thursday night at sundown. How how are you doing with the stay-at-home order?" And we were able to talk through that. And I said, "Well, Eid is coming up at the end. And for Christians who don't understand what Eid is, it's a bit like it's as big as Christmas is to a Christian,
Yeah,
of family
yeah.
gatherings and
Uh-huh.
meals. That Eid at the end of Ramadan is that." But even sharing some of that, it was an investment of, wow, this person knows the term Ramadan and knows the timing and knows Eid
Yeah,
is coming, and knows that Ramadan could be a challenge for him, and just asking about his life. And those are some of the things you're
exactly.
talking about, right?
You have no idea how much you really encourage that person when you show them some of the knowledge about his faith or her
Yeah.
faith. And so this is really
His faith.
yeah,
His
yeah,
faith.
this is
I
this is
respect those boundaries. I talked to
yeah.
him. I've heard, at least I remember that you told me. So I do.
Yeah.
You're mentoring. I I focus on the man, and it may feel a bit odd. I would say, Tash, you're talking about, if you're in a group setting, we Americans are inclusive. We want to include everybody, but it really is that
Yeah.
intentional. And it will feel. I mean, Tash, you train people. It will feel weird to keep focusing on the guy's eyes when you're asking a question
Uh-huh.
about the kids
Uh-huh.
or whatever. But and it's almost this honor shame. You're still honoring the husband's leadership in the home, like you're honoring him as the man of the
Exactly.
household, and not shaming him, essentially.
Yeah, and even looking, looking at towards the lady, looking down,
Oh yeah, yeah.
is also respecting.
Okay, that's fair.
For
That's
example,
not fair. It's great.
an older man speaking to me. In the American culture, you have to look eye to eye.
Yeah.
Well, in my culture, when an older man is talking to me, I'm never looking in his eye. I'm
Okay.
looking down.
I promise to do the rest of this interview task like this, if that's okay. I will honor you
No,
the rest of this
no.
time.
Spiritually, I'm younger than you. So we're still even.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So is there any other,
Yeah.
so this, right, by the way, people can join, I'll let people know, people can actually get connected. We actually host, Grace and other churches host online Lead with Love classes, groups. You can start, we do it 2 times a year, I think. And so one, we host at our physical location here at Grace. We hope we'll be able to folks host at our physical location. The other is hosted at another church, but we let our people know they can join that group electronically. That's a very common thing. And so people can get engaged with Lead with Love. We, at least with Grace, a couple
Yeah.
of times a year. So we'll let people know about that. And you guys, you can go online to our website. You should see that during our Grace group. We will promote that through our Grace group launches, our short-term Bible studies, Grace group launches. You're also going to see at Grace on our website twice a year, Lead with Love. One will be located physically to campus. The other will be an online version, but twice a year opportunity to do Lead with Love with our own Grace Church website.
Yeah.
Tess, can you touch base on?
We are doing that right now online, actually.
Yeah.
We are doing a class online, and we have about 30 people joining from different parts, even from Europe.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Can people, and I'm going to show my unfamiliarity. Can people jump on halfway through? Can they pick up old, or do they have to wait for the start of a new class?
They can jump in anytime and go back to listen to. We record the messages and video it actually, and so they can go back and watch the videos and catch up with it. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, that's
great.
awesome.
Okay, so let me shift just globally. Is there anything regarding you kind of dropped a couple global areas that Hope for Israel is engaged with? That's more of the domestic side. You're talking about the training, equipping of how to love your neighbors yourself. But is there anything you want to give a couple items that Hope for Israel is engaged with globally?
Well, we are globally engaged very closely with the Gaza Strip and in Europe, in Holland. I've been invited to the Hague, to the Parliament, the Dutch Parliament, because of the influx of so many Muslims and the problems that's causing in Holland. And we were talking to them about the program that we are developing, which is Lead with Love. So they are very interested in us bringing that, and we already sent it to our publisher to publish it in Dutch, to start preparing for that. So Lead with Love is becoming more and more an international. But my focus and my heart and Karen's heart is to start it out right here in Kansas City, because this is
awesome.
my home.
That's right.
And that's
right.
where the Lord called me back to. Yeah. So I'm so excited to see that. I'm excited to have the partnership with you and Grace. Grace has been my church from the beginning, and whenever I'm back here, this is my home church. So I'm very, very grateful for that partnership and your generosity and your kindness to us.
Yeah, no, that's we are honored to have just a small piece in the partnership. That might lead over to the amazing story. So one of the things, I was on the road. I think I told you I was on the road going to pick up my daughter from the University of Michigan when we talked. There's an amazing story that one of the reasons that sparked this video interview was this God story. And so Tass, take us back. This was probably a month ago, in that range.
Somewhere, yeah.
It was, so in that range of a month ago, where you guys were going through some with the stay-at-home orders and the shutdown, we were seeing some challenges financially, like many organizations have, right?
Yeah, the virus really caused a lot of hardship for us financially, and we had a promise of $10,000 to us that would come about that same week. And then I got an email from the church that was supposed to send us the money. And because of the virus, everybody is kind of cutting back. And so they sent us an email saying, we we're not going to be able to send you the money right now.
Yeah, but those are real
And
salaries and real people, right? You're talking, those are people's salaries who are ministering right now.
Exactly. And helping people outside in the Gaza Strip especially. And I was really panicking, and I was just going on my knees, and Lord, I don't understand what is going on. Did I not call you back here? Did I make a mistake? I mean, I was really talking to the Lord.
Yeah.
And the next day, Chase called.
Yep, Chase Legier from Grace.
Farah
Yeah.
gets the phone. I was standing there. Yeah, Chase from Grace. He calls, and I was standing in the office with Farah, and she takes the phone, and Chase calls, and he says, just want to let you know that we are wiring into your account right now $10,000.
The same dollar amount. You just lost an email
the same
$10,000.
exact amount.
And the same amount came in.
So incredible. That was so incredible. And Farah was looking at me, and she said, Dad, and she knows the situation. And I was, to be honest with you, I went back to my office, and I went on my knees, and I was crying. And I called you immediately.
Yes, you did.
I called you on the phone, and you said, I'm on my way to Michigan. I think you were picking up your daughter. Yep. And I said, just wanna thank you very much. I just got the news, and thank you for sending the money. And he said, you said, well, I don't know what you're talking
I know. I'm in the car driving,
I said,
and you're thanking me.
What do you mean you don't know what I'm
And I literally, I said, you didn't believe me, of course, because for a moment you said, now come on. Like I said, Tass, I'm sorry. I'm certain we sent you the money, but I'm also certain I have no idea what you're talking about. Because we have an amazing missions team.
That's exactly. And I was kind of confused because I didn't share that with you about this deal. You know, you didn't know, and so that was really a God thing, because God heard my cry and heard our pain, and so I can tell you that I was on my knees crying and thanking God for hearing our cry and responding so immediately, you know. And
absolutely.
That's the part of God. That's
amazing. Yeah, and I have to give credit to where credit's due, which is not with me. So that's our you're talking our director of mobilization, Justin Raby. And then he's the one who leads directly our outreach director, Chase Legier. Chase has been on the foreign lands many times. Justin has as well, serving and ministering. But yeah, it was Chase and his team prayerfully looking at that with Justin, and as they prayed about it, that was the number, which was totally God's number. The number you lost the day before was the very down to the dollar, the penny, the very much. It was just amazing. I was blown away too. It was awesome.
That's really the miracle. That is the miracle, that God gave the exact amount, and you know, and that's why, you know, I was so emotional. And well, you guys have always been very kind to us.
Yeah. Well, let me say two things.
Appreciate that very much. And
I'm going to share two.
Honored to be in partnership too.
Amen. I'm going to share with our people, if you want to learn more about Tass personally, Tass has 2 books out there, and you're in a stay-at-home order. This might be a great time to get these books. One is Once an Arafat Man, tells the story of how Tass used to be directly working as a sniper and a professional driver for Yasser Arafat himself. It's an amazing book, amazing story of his conversion experience and ministry. And then after that, The Mind of Terror, a more recent book, where Tass unpacks just from his perspective, just the terrorist mindset, having been in that himself. Both looked. Once an Arafat Man by Tass, The Mind of Terror. You can pick it up. Here's my question for you. We have just about a couple minutes to go. Is there anything else, if you wanted to encourage your church family, Grace Church, who's going to be watching this, the larger church community? Is there anything on your heart these days that you want to share, kind of a final word or guidance, direction, whatever God lays on your heart?
Yeah. In this particular time, since this virus began and the fear began to get into the heart of people, I mean, I did personally. I can't lie and I cannot say that I'm so brave, but I want to encourage the people that if God is with us, who can be against us?
Amen.
We want to, we want to stand on the gospel and live by the gospel in order for us to continue to build. And I do believe God allowed this to happen. It is not a surprise to him.
Yeah.
And I believe the time is coming, and the revival that is going to take place in right here in Kansas City, the heart of the nation, is going to sweep the rest of the nation. So let's be encouraged and be looking forward for God's move and be ready when He moves. We are to be moving with Him. Yes.
That's awesome, Tass.
Praise God.
Well, if you'll allow me, if I can just pray for you and for hope for Ishmael, and I'm going to encourage anybody who's watching this video and is at this point. First of all, thank you for joining us and hanging in there. This is such an important thing in sharing Jesus' love with people all around the world. Your neighbors right here to places like Gaza and all around the world. If you would join me, if you're online, if you just go bow your head, close your eyes, and just pray with me as well. Pray for Tass, pray for his family, pray for the ministry of Hope for Ishmael. Let's just go ahead and pray. God, I thank you for Tass and just the amazing, miraculous conversion story that he documented in Once an Arafat Man, and he's told many times. Thank you for bringing him to a place of a surrender to Jesus Christ, recognition that you are Lord of all. Thank you for shattering the hatred that was in his heart and replacing it with your love. Thank you for having him start Hope for Ishmael and just the heart that he has to reach those who are descendants of Ishmael. And I do pray for your hand of blessing upon Tass, your hand of blessing upon his whole family, that he's currently under that stay-at-home order as well. God, I pray your hand of blessing upon everyone connected with Hope for Ishmael, every staffer, every ministry area, every initiative. Would you continue to expand the reach of Lead with Love, this training course to equip people to how to intelligently and graciously and lovingly engage those they encounter who are of Islamic faith, to show them the love of Jesus Christ fearlessly and lovingly and safely. And God, I pray you continue to provide financially for Hope for Ishmael. God, may you touch people's hearts to be generous and to partner with them. And God, continue to use them, expand the ministry, both here in the United States and literally around the world. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.